We are live.
We're live. What's up, sluts? Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Gachapod, everybody's favourite podcast by three white bearded guys, where we turn the crank of pop culture and see what gets pooed out the bottom.
Who's got the best beard?
Who's got the best beard?
Sure, obviously.
What, in the world?
No,
Still
just
me.
out of in this room. in this room where the air conditioner is now off.
My beard used to be mighty, and
It
then
did.
I had a baby who just like fucking pulls tufts of your hair out. So I was like, good. Get to trim this down a good few inches so she can't ruin my fucking face anymore. That's
an interesting start, isn't it?
This is what people like. A little bit of insight,
a little bit of banter,
a little bit of who are these guys? What are their motivations? Have they ever sucked each other off? I'll never tell. So this is episode 2. And we get together all the time to record these. We don't have any scheduling conflicts.
Absolutely not. No.
I've certainly not had to cancel this particular episode twice.
I've done it once as well. So
so Matt's winning at the moment. Oh fuck yeah! I'm Drew. I'm joined by my co-hosts Matt.
Woo, hello.
And Dan.
You're right.
Cool. That's it. Good. And now we move on to our theme for this week, which is part 1 in a 5-part episode.
A deep dive.
Oh, boys, it could so easily be its own fucking podcast. In fact, I think once we get to like network status, you know, like when we're raking in the Benjamins and we've got like a whole bunch of research assistants and stuff.
And mattress sponsors.
That's I'm going for that big.
I've just bought a new mattress. I'm a little bit annoyed I didn't wait like a couple of months.
Wait for that backhand from Big Mattress.
Yeah.
It's a Simba. How do you rate the Simba?
I don't know. I'm still waiting to build the fucking bed.
Jesus
I've
Christ.
not built. I know.
What are you sleeping on? Just like
the old bed,
like a pallet in the living room, like some sort of homeless man.
I built a hammock.
On my walk here, I saw many wonderful things, like a whole bunch of people who look like me playing Pokemon Go by a river. 5 homeless men fighting over a loaf of bread outside of an off licence, just on the high street. So that was a treat.
And this is yet not post-Brexit Britain.
No, not yet.
Yet not. That's good English.
No, we're just in that nebulous fucking piece of shit that's I don't quite know what it is at the moment.
No.
But no, we're going to talk about Ultraman this week. Anyone who knows me knows I have a proclivity for the giant monster.
Obsession.
It's healthy.
I guess.
I don't like buy toys to jizz on them or anything.
Not yet.
I get shy and I can't.
Can't perform.
that's the issue.
This man has a baby, but
Ultraman's where it's at. Just giant monsters in general. I blame the Power Rangers. It's fucking Kimberly in that fucking skirt and just fuck it. Oh my god.
I'll cut some of those hands out.
And no, leave them in. Add more. Fucking skirt and I mean, did you guys do the Power Rangers thing as kids?
No, because it was on before Transformers Beast Wars, and I got really mad that it wasn't Transformers as a kid.
Right.
So I was just like,
well, let's see which property will stand the test of time.
Well, I did Power Rangers, but I can't really remember it that much. I do remember, though, once my friend, or so-called friend back then, I was being a dickhead and not coming in, and he came outside and told me that they've announced that Mr. Motivator is the new purple Power Ranger. and for some reason, that got me in the house.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. I would have liked that. That would have been fun.
Just stopping every single fight scene so he can just get the bum bag on.
Yeah, do a bit of aerobics.
Do a quick workout.
Get your mum's fucking cans of beans out and do weightlifting with them and shit. That's what we used to do, isn't it?
Sure thing. Cans of beans, amazing.
I think we've just lost a bunch of viewers.
Yeah.
Or listeners.
Viewers.
This is where we're at today.
Oh boy. So we're going to talk about the long and storied history of Ultraman. One of Japan's most iconic heroes and one of the biggest, longest running franchises in the history of television. Ultraman tells that age-old tale of one man and the interstellar hero of light that lives inside him until he's called upon to grow to 164 feet and do battle with various alien threats to the Earth.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I think it's based on a Grimm's fairy tale. I can't cite sources for that, but
sounds about right.
It is a tale as old as time,
Yes.
as a magical teapot.
Like Drive.
Like Drive, the movie with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. That's based on a Brothers
Interesting
Grimm fairy tale.
Is it?
Oh, I did not know that.
Scorpion and the Frog. That's why he has a scorpion on his cool jacket that dickheads have bought and wear to nightclubs.
And just acts silent. And just,
All right, well, let's save the rest of that for
probably
the
plays Minecraft.
The series, whilst relatively unknown and unviewed in the West, is a household name in Japan. Currently generating over $16 billion in Japan. And weirdly is a more popular franchise than the Godzilla series. I think it's just one of those things because it started in '66 and was mostly geared to kids, so just people who've grown up over the past. The show's had breaks, but it's more or less always been on the TV in some form, and like it has theatrical films and there's just toys fucking everywhere for it. And like Godzilla's still pretty popular, but when you just kind of look at the homes it's going into and the market and everything else, like it's just one of those things. Like Ultraman is, in Japan at least, like totally runs away with it in terms of popularity.
Yeah.
Is he bigger? In terms of size and popularity?
I don't know. He might be bigger than the '54 Godzilla, but like they scale Godzilla up every couple of years because as the buildings in Japan get bigger, they have to make him bigger because like if you put '54 Godzilla in modern day Tokyo, he would just look like me with a skin condition in Tokyo.
Yeah. Just your average dinosaur
just this big
knocking about.
thick-thighed dude walking round.
That's the next Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, boy. I'm going for that motion capture money. The original Ultraman went on to air over 50 years ago, has spawned numerous sequel series, theatrical films, manga, toys, and a Netflix series as of last year. The lore is dense as fuck and proper crazy, but that's half the fun. And in order for me to properly explain where this whole thing began, we have to take a trip in the Wayback Machine. I'm mostly going to talk about Eiji Tsuburaya, who's kind of the godfather of like giant rubber monsters. Ultra Q and Ultraman, and a little bit about some of the other series, but like seriously, if we were going to go in,
we'd need a separate.
If we were going to go in deep on anything else, like we would run over so much. But yeah, Eiji Tsuburaya. Ultrapod, yeah. That's
Shit, we should have got that name.
TM.
TM, yeah.
So, born Eiji Tsuburaya on July 10th, 1901, to Nichiren sect Buddhist parents in Fukushima Prefecture. Though apparently his actual birth date is the cause of some debate, as some sources claim he was born on July 7th. Now, that sounds like a dry as fuck fact, but it's notable that it's regarded as a date of fortune in a Japanese star festival known as Tanabata, where children traditionally make wishes for creative talents.
Yeah, nice.
So,
wish we did that over here.
What, had Japanese festivals?
Well, just
we just
those
have
sort
Christmas,
of days.
don't we?
Yeah, just like just days where you just go out and look at some fireworks and visit a shrine. And
we were all born on that day, lads.
Yeah, it's true. just look at the quality of the output. His family was store owners and really fucking young, like proper. They would have been at home in the town I grew up in. Apparently, Tsuburaya's mother died when he was 3 and she was 19 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah, man. So he was raised in part by his grandmother whilst he formed a brotherly bond with his uncle Ichiro. So Aichi was originally named so as he was the oldest child, because Aichi is a name reserved for the family's firstborn. However, as his uncle Ichiro was now in the position of being the older brother, Tsuburaya was given the name Eiji, meaning second son, which stuck. So it's not his actual birth name, but it was like a nickname that was given to him, I suppose. During primary school, Eiji was remarked to have had a talent for drawing and painting, though he tended to daydream a lot, mostly about flying and being a pilot. All of this shit kind of feeds into what happens later on. But in 1910, the first successful flights occurred in Japan, which became a national phenomenon at the time. And this drove young Tsuburaya to begin model building aeroplanes using just wood and newspaper photographs for reference. So he was like you, Matt. He was a little fucking weeb before his time, sitting there with his nippers, with his fucking hentai on in the background.
Well, just to get slightly political here, but I suppose it's better than making London buses out of boxes.
What, who made London
our beloved Prime Minister.
I didn't know that was a thing he did.
He was asked a question, what do you do in your spare time? And it was if you watch the video, it's essentially a man
After he's
making
finished
a
flinging
load
his
of
own shit at the journalist.
Oh, he's making a load of shit up on the spot.
Okay.
And you can see his brain working, and he's going, shit, I've said I make buses. What do I make buses out of? I make buses out of boxes.
Oh, I think I did hear this.
Yeah, it is utterly hilarious. It is well worth a watch.
I'm kind of reading the newsfeed in the morning for like 5 minutes, getting depressed, and then trying to move on with my day at the moment.
Yeah.
But
he just switches on Ultraman and just turns off.
Yeah.
It's the best way. Yeah.
If only one of the Guardians of Light from Galaxy M78 would come and lead us all. So around this time, he attended his first movie, which was fucking fascinating shit. Footage of a volcano eruption, which got him obsessed with movies. So he bought a toy viewer and made his own film strips by cutting rolled paper, making sprocket holes, and drawing stick figures on the paper frame by frame.
Jesus
like a fucking
Christ.
zoetrope. I mean, this is like...
That is incredibly creative.
This is the 1910s, though. So
Yeah.
this is like
Yeah,
literally
that's-
the birth of cinema.
yeah.
This guy's getting in on the ground floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's that... I need to be careful to not generalise and sound racist here, but it's that Japanese approach to like just kind of sitting down and focusing on something and studying it till you fucking excel at it. You know, and kind of it sounds like finding it on his own as well, you know, in the kind of birth of cinema and just kind of trying all this cool shit. But it should be noted that Tsuburaya's son Akira also says this is basically bullshit and those kinds of toy projectors wouldn't have been on sale at the time. But I did read it in a book and I thought it was worth mentioning because it's a cool fucking story.
That must be true. It's in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Precisely.
In October 1915, after months of pleading with his grandparents, he was allowed to join Nippon Flying School, though he dropped out after his mentor and teacher died in a crash while taking a photographer up to show how awesome and safe aeroplane flight was.
Excellent. Plane crashes are always the best when somebody's trying to show how safe
So
it is.
this is the latest in aerodynamic safety. As you can see, we're surrounded on all sides by an impenetrable roll steel cage. Underneath your seat, you'll see the fuel tank sloshing around there. And just one second, let me light this cigar.
Don't worry about gravity. Gravity's fine.
Yeah,
That really is like Homer and Marge, isn't it? Which
Yeah,
you've
oh
got the
God,
fear of
yeah.
flying. It's just the fish around your ankles or whatever.
But so after that, he decided perhaps aeronautics wasn't for him. He enrolled in university to study engineering and paid for his bills by working at a toy manufacturing company.
That's the dream.
Yeah, man, this guy is just like sowing the seeds for full-on nerdery before it was cool.
Yeah.
Working in the planning department, he drafted designs and made model prototypes, making some really successful shit for the company in the 2 years he worked there. During a company party in 1919, he met film director Yoshiro Edamasa, who offered on the spot to train Tsuburaya, who accepted. So I'm guessing those guys just got into a fucking conversation about volcanoes.
Or he wanted to
erupting
fuck him.
Sure. Gotta say, Drew's nailing these names right now.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm butchering absolutely fucking everything, and I don't doubt we'll get messages from like one of our 50 listeners.
It's actually me just listening on it back, just sending you a message.
Just creating new avatars on Twitter just to abuse him.
Yeah, you've got a signature saved in Microsoft Outlook that's just actually. So he worked under Edamasa for years. Tsuburaya honed his craft in filmmaking, assisting on several motion pictures until his conscription into the army in 1922.
Oh no.
I don't feel like do well in the army. I'm glad we don't have national service here for many reasons, but mostly because I'm just a big fucking wuss and I'd cry and poo my pants probably.
Yeah, I don't sleep a lot, so...
In fact, I'd probably poo my pants on purpose and continue to do so until they discharge me. Just be like, fine, keep me in the army, but I'm just going to shit and shit and shit.
Yeah.
I'd probably Forrest Gump it, I guess. Get shot in the ass.
Get shot in the buttocks.
Yeah, the buttocks.
Be good though, because you could go to the White House and drink 15 Dr. Peppers. That's always good.
Yeah, exactly. And we've also got Lieutenant Dan over here.
Yeah, let me just amputate my fucking legs.
After an honourable discharge in 1923, Tsuburaya worked for several production teams in and around Tokyo until settling into a role at the Kinugasa Motion Picture League, where he developed and refined several special effect techniques like slow motion and double exposure.
Now, just to interrupt you, I know this is like kind of the where things were still developing, but fuck me, how easy was it to get a job into doing something decent back then?
I can't imagine the pay was great.
No, but it's like, you know, as somebody that's tried and half succeeded to get into the film industry at certain points in my life, like you just wouldn't be able to walk into a job and just do that like that. It's amazing.
He didn't even have a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. He didn't have experience where you didn't get paid for 4 weeks of your life.
Yeah, man. It's
You're political today.
It's all about who you know and who you're willing to suck, innit?
Precisely. Yeah. Well,
and who were you willing to suck, Dan? Not enough people. That was your problem.
That was
Don't
the
sit here
problem.
bitching when you weren't willing to take a dick in the mouth for your dreams.
I've got a really shit gag reflex. That's
So
the problem. Yeah.
Some people like that.
Just immediately.
So I've heard.
Yeah, but then I throw up and it all gets a bit ugly, and
Some
then I have
people
to
like that too.
apologise.
Back to Ultraman.
Then I try and eat it.
Gagging on dicks and throwing up. Anyway, we were talking about Japan's culture. So yeah, he helped refine slow motion and double exposure. I don't know if these were techniques that were already kind of in Western cinema at all.
I seem so.
I mean, they were kind of, famously sort of a cluster of islands that didn't have much to do with the outside world, outside of kind of their neighbours. So I think a lot of it can be put down to kind of him and his team. In 1933, Tsuburaya's life and career shifted irrevocably when he saw a screening of King Kong. Fucking everybody who was like a filmmaker in the 50s
lost their shit, didn't
just
they?
sites, I think Harryhausen was one of them, and there's a whole fucking bunch of people that were just like, they saw this and were just like, fuck me, just anything is possible, look at this.
We're talking about Peter Jackson's King Kong right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, we're talking about fucking Jeff Bridges and what's her name, Jessica Lange in was it Dino De Laurentiis, the 1975 King Kong?
I don't think I've ever seen
Have you not?
Yeah,
Do you know what?
To be honest.
It's not fucking terrible. It's I would rather watch that than Peter Jackson's
Yeah, I think.
fucking snooze fest any day. Not that I don't love Jack Black in a semi-serious role, but
Yeah, it is.
My girlfriend fancies him.
It's understandable.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful
Carry on,
voice,
Jake.
beautiful man.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Carry on.
He gave the tubby bearded man hope that there was.
I bet he's a generous
I am turning into a tubby bearded man, so
If
so
his
actually-
songs are anything to go by,
Yeah.
he does like to sing about the cunnilingus.
You nailed that.
I am the master of pronunciation. Anyway, King Kong. He became obsessed with the film and its, at the time, mind-blowing effects work, through his industry connections, he acquired a 35mm print of the movie to study frame by frame.
yeah, that's nerdy.
Yeah.
It is, but I mean, yeah, I think
It's learning as well.
Yeah, it's when you consider the effort that, like now you can go and you can get Peter Jackson's King Kong on Blu-ray and pause that frame by frame and go,
Yeah.
yeah, that's average. But
Yeah.
to acquire that and everything else. In the years following, Tsuburaya came to be employed at the newly established Toho Studios and worked on a lot of projects, including several war propaganda films with effects work so impressive that General MacArthur's film unit in America bought some of the footage to use in newsreel coverage of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Like, that's how fucking good his work was at the time. Like, miniature planes and shit just dive bombing America. And apparently
that's a
somehow
great
the
fact.
Americans saw that and were like, yeah, we need to purchase that.
That's a fantastic fact.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely nuts, man. So Toho will be a familiar name to some, and that's something that we'll get into a lot more on a future episode, but that's the home of Godzilla and many other kind of rubber suit monsters and Ishiro Honda and all of that stuff. And that's something we'll talk about more at another time, but it's definitely a notable place for him to have worked because that's where he kind of establishes his relationship with a lot of the pioneers of like giant monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually fired from Toho in 1948 because occupation officers in Japan at the time said his miniatures for the Pearl Harbor sets were so detailed that in order to have recreated them so well, he must have been part of an espionage ring.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean,
Obviously.
this is post-war. This is, they're stripping everything down. They're really looking into, kind of Japanese citizens' involvement in everything that went on. But yeah, fucking hell, like that's the weirdest compliment to have paid to your work.
Yeah.
You're like, this shit's fucking great. What did you do?
Yeah.
Who did you fucking talk to? Start waterboarding him with miniature paints. So after this, he formed Tsuburaya Visual Effects Laboratories with his eldest son Hajime, and the two work as independent contractors for other studios until the Americans relinquished control of Japan's film industry, when he returns and works on multiple productions with director Ishiro Honda. Now, Ishiro Honda is the guy famous for directing many of the Godzilla movies, including the first one in 1954. The guy, Ishiro Honda, I could do my own podcast on him, and we'll talk about him more in Godzilla, but he worked with Kurosawa on a lot of stuff,
Okay,
and all sorts of things. He's a really accomplished guy. So with Ishiro Honda, Tsuburaya goes on to co-create Godzilla and a good number of its sequels, often being the man responsible for the rubber-suited foes that the King of the Monsters was fighting that week. Due to budget and time constraints whilst working on Godzilla, Tsuburaya opted to forego the time-consuming stop-motion films like King Kong, and instead would put a dude in a big rubber costume, originating the effect now known as suitmation. Obviously, they originally wanted to do stop motion, and I don't think they quite understood how to get good stop motion. It would take so much fucking time and money, so they were just like, just put a guy in a fucking fancy ass bin bag with some pillowcases and have him run around. It'll be fine.
It works.
Well, it does work.
Works.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, this combined with lighting and camera tricks helped create a sense of scale and realism that's still used in Japanese monster movies today, albeit with the help of some CGI, and it's now considered a traditional craft in Japan. So, there are schools that study this. There are special effects schools. It's a massive part of their cinematic history. And it's one of those things, I think, when it's done well, like in some of the later Godzilla movies and some of the Gamera trilogy, if you're shooting it properly and lighting it properly and you've got good miniatures and you've got a good dude in the suit, it can be pretty fucking... I mean, it can be hokey as fuck, and that's what a lot of Ultraman is, but you suspend your disbelief for that. But it can be really fucking effective.
You should see his face when when it comes on and he's watching it. Like a child.
I enjoy the works of the giant guardian turtle. He's a friend to children everywhere, Daniel. I don't know what more you want me to say about it.
It must be really fun to just be paid to dress up as a thing.
Yes,
smash a load
until
of
you
shit.
get drowned. Almost.
I was going to say, a lot of them
Right.
nearly die.
Yeah,
Almost
okay.
all of them lose several stone in sweat whilst they're working.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Okay.
A lot of them get set on fire, or I think it was a dude in a Ghidorah suit in... Was it Monster X or was it Destroy All Monsters? It was one of them anyway, where he's basically flying around above a tank of water and the wires snapped and he fell in, and he's in this fucking 140 pound.
Yeah. He ain't swimming up.
Rubber latex suit. No, the guy nearly fucking died. The success of this series led to Tsuburaya being able to return to his childhood love of King Kong when he and Honda produced King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962. With mixed results. I enjoy that movie a lot, but there are a substantial amount of Japanese people in blackface, which I struggle to explain when I'm showing it to new audiences.
Sure.
So
What's up with those arms as well for King Kong?
Yeah, I don't quite know what they were going for there, but yeah, he's got weird fucking... in Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, where he's walking down the alleyway and his arms are 20 foot long, and he's King Kong's arms are like that the whole way through the fucking movie, but with absolutely zero explanation.
So why the blackface?
I guess they either didn't know or couldn't be asked to hire black actors.
Yeah.
Because the idea is they go over to Skull Island, and it's meant to have indigenous people there who in the original are. I think they're either black or they're Polynesian or...
Polynesian, I think.
Polynesian, I think. But either way, these are clearly just some fucking dudes from, the suburbs of Tokyo who've been paid, $50 for the day to come to the Toho sets and just, be browned up and dance around in grass skirts and, bang skull heads as if they're drums. And it's very much a product of its time.
Yeah,
very much a product of its time, yeah.
That boulder throwing there was pretty class in the film.
Yeah, they have a fight where they just throw big rocks at each other for a while. The pacing is immense. It's, yeah. After this, he formed Tsuburaya Productions and facilitated the creation of some of Godzilla's most famous rivals, like Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Anguirus. Obviously, he didn't do all this by himself. There's multiple people on his team that need credit for that, like Akira Watanabe and various other people, but he kind of oversaw it all. It was his production company, but a lot of the memorable monsters, especially with fucking King of the Monsters coming out this year, and now you can get fucking Godzilla t-shirts on the high street and all sorts of shit, and people know who fucking Rodan and Mothra are, who wouldn't necessarily have done beforehand. It's crazy, but it's all kind of down to this dude starting this production team, having this relationship with Honda, and doing all the crazy nerdy shit that he did when he was younger. So that leads us on to a series called Ultra Q. So this was the precursor series to Ultraman, and it's going to take a little bit of explaining because it's a weird one and not many people know about it. Like, I think a lot of people, even if you haven't seen Ultraman, you kind of know who Ultraman is. You maybe know the name. You would recognise him if you were shown a picture, even if it's just because he gets parodied on like The Simpsons and stuff.
Yeah.
But it all started with this other show, Ultra Q. So in 1962, Tsuburaya's other son, Noboru, was working for Fuji Television and heard of a rival effects company submitting a proposal to Toho for a monster-themed TV series. He proceeded to broker a deal between his father's effects company and Fuji Television for a 13-episode series, which was written and produced over a number of years, whilst the company continued its existing work on other projects until Ultra Q was ready to make its debut in January 1966. So years of development, and then this thing happened in '66. Ultra Q was broadcast on TBS, which was the Tokyo Broadcasting System, and consisted of 28 episodes, not unlike The Twilight Zone, but with big fuck-off monsters in most of them.
Nice.
So it was originally meant to be more of a straight-up sci-fi show, kind of like The Twilight Zone or Outer Limits, but with like a recurring central cast. Almost kind of like early X-Files, like a Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they put that in front of test audiences, but they preferred kaiju-themed episodes more than like...
It's still a big hit, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kids
So more and more
especially.
giant monsters were added to existing scripts.
Yeah.
A lot of this can be put down to kids at the time going batshit for Godzilla and the first Gamera film. The name of the show, this is fucking weird and takes some going into, but this is the only way it makes sense. The name of the show was originally meant to be Unbalanced, but it got changed to Ultra Q due to Japan taking gold at the 1964 Olympics for gymnastics using a technique known as Ultra C. So there was also an Ultra A and an Ultra B, but Ultra C was meant to be the best one, and the term kind of became like a Japanese idiom. A little bit like giving 110%. You'd give something the Ultra C because that was the best move you had in your... like when you're giving effort to something, it was the best move in your repertoire or whatever. And then the letter Q just stands for question. So it's the Ultra Question. 2 weeks after Ultra Q ended, the follow-up season in the Ultra series began, which was Ultraman. So when originally developing the sequel series to Q, Tsuburaya had wanted a series where it was monster versus monster, and every week one of the monsters from Ultra Q, the old series, would duke it out against a new monster with a new and returning cast. This was then shot down by TBS executives who told them to come back with a different pitch. So they went like, fucking fine. Came back next, and this might sound familiar, the next idea was to have a friendly giant alien from outer space who would defend Earth from other monsters. This kind of predated the idea of Gamera being a guardian, as only the first film had been out at this point, and Gamera was still kind of a villain in that first film. The monster and show title would be Bemula, although this was reworked. Bemula would then go on to have an important role later on. He was the first monster in episode 1 of Ultraman that Ultraman actually ends up fighting. But yeah, I think they originally wanted like a big fucking, you know, knobbly warty fucking alien Godzilla kind of thing that would come down and like help out and defend the Earth. Budget wise, Tsuburaya was working with much less money and much less time to develop and shoot than with Ultra Q, because Ultra Q had a couple of years leading up to its broadcast. Ultraman only got a couple of months between Q ending and the new show airing. So that's why when you go back you see a lot more kind of dodgy wire work and effects work and stuff in the first episodes. Tsuburaya was also known to save money on monster costumes by reusing old ones, and that apparently was so he could spend more of the budget on miniature models. Again, just going back to this fucking guy with his like matchsticks and his newspaper.
I mean, they look really good though. Like, even back then.
Some of them do. Some of them you go like, oh yeah, that's fucking Godzilla with a Jacobean ruff on.
Oh, I mean the actual like sets. And stuff.
The miniatures. Yeah, the models look fucking great, but that's because you've got a model nerd who's just like, no, I need more money for the models. And you're like, Eiji, mate, the arm just dropped off. Gabora, like he's literally rotting. Like, you know, you can see that dude's balls hanging out the bottom of the crotch of that, and he's like, no, the train. It needs 16 extra carriages with internal lighting. Like, dude, no.
And that's the first voice we're going to do on this podcast, but not the last.
No, not the last. That's my my incredibly accurate Tsuburaya impersonation. You look at interviews, he sounds just like that.
Okay.
The design for Ultraman actually came from Japanese Buddhist imagery, with his face being reminiscent of statues of tranquility and paintings, so like the almond eyes.
Actually.
Yeah, if you look at Buddhist shrines and things, and some of the statues and things will be kind of reminiscent of that type of face. The execs okayed the look, but asked if he could be made silver like a rocket in order to reflect the then current space race, making him more exciting to kids. So they kind of coloured him all silver, and then we were just like, he just looks like fucking Silver Surfer from Marvel Comics. So they did that, but they augmented the idea by adding the red lines that are on his suit, which are apparently modelled after the canals of Mars.
Wow.
So like shit like that is just crazy deep, where you're just like, instead of just going like, I don't know, some fucking red bits on him maybe.
Are you sure they didn't create that lore after though? They sort of did it and went. I mean,
Mars? I'm going on like this is all out of the book that I used that was my central source for this, which is kind of the kind of de facto tome for Eiji Tsuburaya and Ultraman stuff. So like, if it had just come off some fucking website, I'd be like, I don't know. But this seems to be from like first-hand accounts and stuff. Yeah. And also, I think that's, even if it's not true, that's a fucking kind of cool idea. That they're just like, you want it to be space themed, so Canals of Mars, bitch. In the first 13, I fucking love this. In the first 13 episodes, Ultraman actually had a latex mask, which if you look back at it, looks all fucked up and pockmarked. Yeah. It looks a bit like Ray Liotta in silver face paint. He's got like all those like weird like acne scars and stuff. Apparently it's because they wanted Ultraman to talk. Instead of kind of doing what like Planet of the Apes had done, where they'd had to like paste on the separate bits of makeup so that they could like move their mouths and actually have a degree of expression through the makeup. They just put this fucking latex mask on the actor's face, and then were like, just move your mouth really wildly and obviously, and it will make the mask move. And funnily enough, look like fucking shit. So they dropped that. But if the first 13 episodes, which were the ones they were originally kind of asked to do, he's got this really shitty looking latex mask on, and then after that they go to like the static hard plastic one, which is why the back end of the show he looks that much better.
Yeah, and the figures as well, actually, you can tell.
Yeah, you really can. So they just went with static plastic after that, and like obviously got rid of the fact that the original Ultraman doesn't talk. Like later Ultramens, you can't fucking shut them up. Like some of the later series, they are just monologuing like crazy and just they're all over the place. But yeah, this original dude and a couple of the ones afterwards didn't really kind of do the monologuing and stuff. They were really leaning into the kaiju shtick this time. The show centered around Shin Hayata, a member of the Science Patrol, or the SSSP if you're watching the subbed one, which is the what is it? It's the Special Search Science Patrol. It's bullshit. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But
costumes are nice though.
The costumes are fucking lovely. I like how they've got like little. It's just like a normal brown orange suit, and then they've got like little fucking patches on the arms and legs and stuff that they whip off the Velcro, and then all of a sudden they're kind of ready to go. It's like an action jumpsuit but with a tie.
Yeah. Right.
Really nice. You've never seen any Ultraman, right?
No, I ain't got a clue what you're going on about.
No, it's something pretty special. Okay. Yeah. I think there's like it's not a Hot Toys, but there's like some really fucking nice figures of like Hayata and Ide and Fuji and those guys just in there. Right, I think there's figure arts for it actually.
Yeah, it might well be actually. He's a beautiful man as well.
He certainly is, yeah. So yes, a member of the SSSP who was patrolling the skies and gets smashed into by Ultraman and nearly fucking dies. Like episode 1, he's flying around in this like fucking Harrier jet looking thing that's also got like, I don't know, it's the weirdest fucking like bathtub toy looking aircraft you've ever seen. Okay. Yeah. And all of a sudden, a red ball and a blue ball of light come flying past. Except they're not like special effects. It's just a red ball and a blue ball because I don't know, Tsuburaya was busy making fucking miniature fucking farms. And
they have more important things to deal with.
And one of them smashes into him, and he crashes the plane and nearly dies. Basically, out of guilt, Ultraman fuses with Hayata as a way of keeping him alive and gives him a beta capsule, which basically looks like a big suppository that he can use to summon his inner alien gymnast in a wetsuit. They actually wear wetsuits as well and will constantly have to be replaced as the suit actors would rip them when doing all their crazy flips.
He never ever loses that capsule ever as well.
Do you know what though? I was watching...
Because it's in his ass.
What?
I was watching an episode today where he gets chucked off a cliff and he drops it and he's fucked for most of the episode. He gets it back and then presumably shoves it up his arse and turns into Ultraman.
There you go. You see, Drew's confirmed it.
I'm telling you, man, it looks like a big old,
It vibrates.
Yeah. It looks like something from like Ann Summers or something. But yeah, that was kind of his method of doing it. So it turns out Ultraman was chasing a space monster called Bemula. Remember from 10 minutes ago? When he collided with Hayata's ship and promises from that day forth to help defend Earth against evil, with Hayata's fellow Science Patrol members helping. The Science Patrol actually had some returning cast from Ultra Q in different roles. So the woman who plays Fuji, the communications assistant, she was in Ultra Q as I think his name is Yukio or Yuriko. And she's this really like kind of cool badass like female character in Ultra Q, and then she's literally like I say, like communications assistant who makes the tea in Ultraman and just gets like ripped on for being a woman quite a bit and all that proper 60s television, proper 60s misogyny. A beautiful thing to witness. The show had some great villains like Boltan and Duras and Bemula, and if you know your monsters, you can often see where Tsuburaya had raided the Toho props warehouse for old monster suits and just stuck some extra fins and horns on existing Godzilla monsters to make new ones for Ultraman. A lot of the production design for the monsters specifically was by Tol Narita, who would receive scripts with very little detail on the monster's physical appearance and sometimes no name. So he was just like, just fucking come up with whatever, which I presume is how he came up with things like Red King. Red King's great because he looks like a Godzilla dildo.
Okay.
Or like if somebody got Jeff Goldblum's teleporting machines from The Fly, and stuck Godzilla and a corn on the cob in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does look like a dildo. I mean, there's probably a dildo called that as well, to be honest.
Oh, there's all sorts. Yeah.
The Red King. There's definitely a dildo called the Red King.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, some of the monsters just look fucking fantastic, and some of them you just go, oh, that's fucking Baragon with a bunch of shit stuck to his head.
Do you think there's Ultraman dildos? Like an entire
I think only a Google search is going to answer that question, Dan.
Yeah, I'm on it.
There's actually a fucking great film called The Men Who Made Ultraman, and it was made in 1989. You can see most of it on YouTube, and it's a dramatic retelling of the creation and production of the show. Really cool. So like, I think I told you about this before, Matt. It shows you things like the shot after he's held up the beta capsule and he's turned into Ultraman, and it shows him jumping into the air with his
and how they did it.
Arm towards the camera, his fist towards the camera, and it's a forced perspective model. So as you look at it, it's about 10 feet tall, and it just like he's got this big fucking oversized head and hand from where they shot it. So it's crazy to look at.
It's like when Peter Jackson cared about Lord of the Rings.
He's never going to Meet the Phoebes though, is he?
Oh, okay.
No. His finest work.
Yeah.
It's fine, isn't he?
No, it's just a few men sticking dildos up their arses, which is
I said do a Google search, not looking at your saved photos, Dan.
Yeah, look, there you go. He's got a big ultra dildo. Another one there. Yeah.
You're just not on the right website.
Obviously not.
So sorry, excuse us while we break for a moment just to
look at men.
To look at men
pleasuring themselves with giant dildos.
With upsettingly sized members.
Oh, discreetly adult goods from Japan.
Oh, here we go.
Was that frequently visited websites?
Now, if you donate to our Patreon that we're about to set up, we will buy one, and we will get our friend Jamie to use it.
Sure.
Any luck?
No, it's not letting me to go into the website for some reason.
It's geo-blocked or something.
That's a shame. Well, just do a Google search for Red King to show down.
I mean, I'm sure you can stick like a kaiju and just, that sort of shape anyway. Like
if you lube anything up enough,
I would go for a soft vinyl rather than something that's got a lot of articulated points, because you don't want to trap a piece of
figure
skin.
arts.
No.
That's what you want.
You could always Alaskan pipeline that, whack it in a... Jesus Christ. Are you aware of the Alaskan pipeline?
No, I'm learning a lot today.
It's where you do sensitive listeners might want to skip ahead 30 seconds. It's where you do a poo-poo inside of a condom.
Oh.
Then you place said item in the freezer until it's stiff.
Yeah.
And then you use it to enjoy yourself.
You return it to once.
Yes, I suppose you do, yeah.
Be gone.
It's like a magic trick.
Yeah. It's recycling, really, isn't it?
Yes, upcycling.
Yeah.
Upcycling.
Anyway.
Yes.
The show...
Ultraman.
So the show ran for 39 episodes, I think it was, in total, and the finale actually saw an alien called Zeton from the planet Zeton
He's a lad.
target Ultraman's colour timer and nearly kills him. So the colour timer is like a red blinking light on Ultraman's chest that warns him when his 3 minutes are up. Apparently he can only be Ultraman for 3 minutes at a time because reasons, mostly budget reasons. But the timer wasn't on the initial designs, apparently. It was added later, supposedly to add drama to the show, as without it Ultraman was like Superman without kryptonite.
Okay.
The idea was that there was just no dramatic tension because Ultraman was ultimately fucking unbeatable. So they decided to add that as a as a device to make it seem like, you know, he only had a certain amount of time to get this job done. Also, you know, as he gets towards the end of his 3 minutes, he starts to weaken. If he's on the floor and his light starts flashing,
Same.
Don't we all?
Fuck. Yeah, exactly. The time was actually originally meant to have traffic light colours as well. So it would flash green and then amber and then red and blah 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 blah. Because apparently kids are fucking idiots and they need to be spoon fed everything. And I thought this was cool. The 3 minute warning was actually based on boxing matches because the rounds last for 3 minutes.
Oh, well, okay.
So that's why they chose to give it a 3 minute timer in terms of like that's how long he could fight for before his time was up. So as Ultraman is dying, another Ultraman called Zoffy shows up and is about to take his body back to Nebula M78 where all the Ultra people come from, Daniel.
Oh, yeah, the M78.
Yeah, that's the one. When Ultraman pleads with Zoffy to spare Hayata's life by giving him his remaining energy. It's basically like Hayata's fucked if Ultraman's fucked because they're fused at like the, I don't know, subatomic level or something.
Yeah.
The only reason that he's still alive is because of Ultraman. So they do that and Hayata is okay, but he doesn't remember a fucking thing about being an Ultraman.
That's a bit annoying.
They do change this later because they bring the actor back a bunch and he definitely knows what's up. Plus his son is the main character of the current manga, which is a great manga and is the basis for the Netflix anime.
It is indeed.
I kind of prefer the manga to the anime, and I'm aware of how fucking stupid that sentence is and how weeby it is. But
actually, I prefer
it. But yeah, so they started it maybe 4 years ago, something like that, and it's this continuation where Hayata has a son, and his son still contains like the particles of light and has the kind of the powers of an Ultraman, although he doesn't realise it. And when he's older, his dad tells him, and then like
isn't there like Zeton in a suit in it or something?
Yeah, they have like all kinds of like contemporary versions of like the classic aliens, like Bolton and Zeton. Pigmon fucking shows up a whole bunch of times and all sorts of stuff.
Don't care for the animation though.
No, it's that cell-shaded CG stuff that seems to be popular with all the kids these days.
Yeah.
The fight scenes are pretty dope, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it reads better as a book than it works as a show.
Yeah.
But saying that, of course, I'll watch the second fucking season because Ultraman.
Look into my veins.
Yeah. 30 years later, they made Revive Ultraman. I say that because it's got an exclamation mark at the end of it, which is an alternate telling of the episode where the shit works out a lot better for Ultraman when Zoffy brings him back properly, and eventually they both just beat the fuck out of Zeton. So they kind of retcon that in a weird way. The series was followed by Ultra 7 and a whole other bunch of series, some good, some bad. Personal highlights include Ultraman Leo, Ultraman 80, and the current series Ultraman Tiger, where he's basically 3 Ultramen: Tiger, Titus, and Fuma. It's fucking great. It's weird because, like, in recent years, it's become super toyetic. Like, the show didn't start that way at all, and I guess it's because toyetic wasn't really a thing till the 80s. So I think throughout the 60s and when it was on in the 70s, because they had a big break in the 70s, they were kind of making the show and they made some toys for it, but it's not like it was in the 2000s where...
You can blame Hasbro for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Power Rangers. It's so fucking gimmicky. So like a couple of years ago when I started getting into the modern Ultraman, they had Ultraman Orb, where instead of just holding up his fucking dildo and like becoming Ultraman,
It's an actual thing. Like,
it's a thing that he has to put trading cards in.
Yeah, that's
and the trading cards are all the different Ultramen.
Okay, yeah.
So depending on what he's fighting, he can combine multiple Ultramen to get the powers of those. And it was just this thing where like it had some fun episodes and whatnot. And it's still an Ultraman show, but you're watching it going like, this is just a fucking extended advert for me to go out and buy the thing. And
I saw it on Reddit recently where like some like father bought his son like one of those like belts or something that they wore for like Kamen Rider, and they just kid lost his shit when he saw it as well.
Right.
And it was all in pieces. He had to connect it and everything as well. Yeah,
So,
I know you would.
I'd go full weird fucking like serial killer, just naked in the mirror wearing nothing but the belt.
Goodbye, horse.
Yeah, exactly. But the new series I'm really enjoying the new series, and it is still quite toyetic. But the idea is that Tiger is the son of an older Ultraman from an older series, and he's got like two mates, and there's this one dude who can like summon one of the three. So you got Tiger, who's like the main character, who's pretty much a good all-rounder. You got Titus, who's a buff boy.
Nice.
He's like got like big fucking beefy bodybuilder, like good upper back.
Yeah, a bit like that bloke that we just saw with the dildo.
That's the that was him without the suit on.
Yeah.
I still don't know whether it's meant to be clothes or armor, or if that's just what the fuck they look like. I've not watched all of Ultraman, so if it's explained in a series, then feel free to email Dan personally and tell me. But yeah, I don't know if they're fucking naked or whatnot. But in the new one, you can summon any one of these guys, and Fuma's like super quick and speedy and everything. And then every time, so this guy's got like a belt with these things that hang off it, like keychains, and he picks one of the keychains up and clicks it into some fucking stupid ass thing on his wrist, and that's how he summons the one he wants that week.
Okay.
But he
Just
also,
like Yu-Gi-Oh.
he uses a Beyblades. And fires that at the monster.
Every
time he defeats a monster, he gets a new piece of jewelry, like a ring or a necklace, and he can use that as well to use the monster's power against the new monster. It's fucked up, man. But the storylines are actually really
like
good.
A Pandora bracelet.
Yeah, so like for
I guess.
That my wife would buy it. She doesn't even like Ultraman, but it's fucking Pandora, so she'd go in for it.
It's Turks in your range.
So there was one episode in the new season which I was really digging, where there's two astronauts. They're a couple, and they're out in space just fucking tending to a satellite. They're doing like a spacewalk, and this fucking rocket goes off course, smashes the satellite, kills one of them outright, and leaves the other one like floating in space, like Sandra Bullock's in that film.
Yeah.
And,
Sandra Bullock's.
and it turns out that the rocket was launched by this fucking Elon Musk motherfucker, who just sent it up there as for part of his birthday celebrations, without really looking at like trajectory and all of that shit.
Before calling somebody a paedophile.
Yeah, basically.
And getting high on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, he was annoyed that someone else's rocket had gone up and not his own. Yeah. Anyway, this dude somehow comes back from space and is like trying to hunt this guy down for like being a knob and killing him and everything else.
Yeah.
And then, like, spoilers, it turns out he was fucking dead all along. It was just like his spirit. But it's played like for real fucking pathos and like for saying it's a kid's show. And I was just like, this is solid writing in this really ridiculous, giant dude in a wetsuit fighting a giant dude in a rubber monster suit. So I think it's like 9 or 10 episodes in now, and it is like a fucking Saturday morning cartoon, but done with like live action special effects and stuff. But it's absolutely worth throwing on, especially if you've got a couple of friends over and some beers, because it's really fun. The character has also had a very average SNES game, which was only released in America and Europe. I don't know if you ever played the Ultraman game, but it's a fucking fighter. Horrendous. Really bad.
A lot of those Japanese like beat 'em up games which were licensed were kind of terrible.
Yeah, I mean this one didn't even come out in Japan. This was literally just a Western release, I guess, because people kind of knew because it was based on the original Ultraman, which was kind of the only one that people knew. Yeah. It turns out that it was pre-purchased by I can't remember which US station, but even before it aired, like it was bought. It was bought in the US for dubbed and everything else. Another game that I didn't know existed, but I since found out, and I've watched a whole fucking playthrough of, were the Battle Soccer games. I don't know if you've heard of those.
No.
Basically, they're like sensible soccer, but they have Toho and Tsuburaya characters in them. So you basically play as like a Kamen Rider team, or Gundam team, or a Godzilla team, or an Ultraman team.
I've got to find this.
I have seen it.
Jet Jaguar in the fucking
You two are going to
game.
get in football. You two are going to get into football.
This is our way in. This is our gate. This is the gateway.
Yeah, this is Squidward Football Podcast.
Take me to a stadium where fucking Jet Jaguar is playing five-a-side against Kamen Rider and fucking Destroyer, and yeah, mate, I'm in.
Okay, sure.
I'm absolutely in. But yeah, so Battle Soccer, and that was so popular they made a sequel, Battle Soccer 2.
Nice.
But I was just like, that is absolutely amazing. So it's a 16-bit thing. It just looks absolutely fucking bonkers, and at some point I really want to get hold of a copy.
Yeah, that'll be the first game we play on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it looks like a solid party game. It looks like a really, really fun one. But he's also had like a shit ton of games that I've never played, because Japan keeps all the best shit for themselves. So yeah, the show was kind of off the air through most of the 70s, and then it came back in the 80s, and has been more or less consistently on the TV ever since. They get like theatrical films for pretty much every incarnation. They kind of do what they did with Ultra Q and Ultraman, which is each season is its own. Like Power Rangers, they kind of reboot it every year or two.
In a way.
Yeah, the same sort of thing. So it's still, they kind of split off in a couple of different universes at one point, but it more or less all kind of exists in its own universe and everything else. But yeah, they have like a new cast each year basically. And then some fucking awesome news from earlier this year is that Hideaki Anno is set to write and produce Shin Ultraman next year. So this is the dude behind Neon Genesis, and also behind the Shin Godzilla film from 2016, the kind of contemporary reboot.
Cutie Honey as well, which is one of the best films ever made.
Yeah, he did Cutie Honey, but the guy is not who I would have first thought of to tap for an Ultraman film, considering it's such
he's always been a massive...
Oh, he's a massive... Yeah, a huge fan, and I think that's evident in a lot of his work, especially, like Neon Genesis and stuff. Yeah. But he goes, have you watched any Neon Genesis?
No.
It's on Netflix. It's absolutely worth
We'll do an
checking
episode.
out.
We're doing
a
10-part series.
I'll watch it before as well. So
but it's very psychological. It really kind of goes into the idea of like post-traumatic stress in these people.
It's a fun robot show until the main character's like jacking it in front of a topless 14-year-old.
Yeah. That's one way to describe it.
Yeah.
But it kind of
it's my favourite anime.
But yeah, it looks into the consequences of like, how would you actually feel if you were all of a sudden infused with the particles of a giant alien and you had to destroy vicious monsters that were there to wipe out humanity? How would that affect you on a psychological
level? The fate of the world is in your hands.
I don't know if I'd knock one off in front of a 14-year-old, but you
can't say until you're in that situation, can you?
No, you can't. But,
Dick in hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to make for a very interesting film because I've enjoyed everything of his that he's done that I've seen. And I think he's going to do some interesting things with it. The other cool news that only came out a couple of months ago, and this makes me hard just thinking about it. A few years ago, Tsuburaya Productions got into a lawsuit for a very long time about distribution of their materials outside of Japan.
Oh, yes.
And they since won the lawsuit, allowing them to distribute wherever they like through whoever they want. So Mill Creek has obtained the rights to almost all the Ultraman material and is releasing Blu-rays of all the series over the next couple of years, starting with Ultra Q and the original Ultraman next fucking month on Blu-ray. They're doing fancy-ass steelbook editions. They've announced Ultra 7 and Ultraman Jack.
And if he doesn't get it for Christmas from his wife, he's not talking to it the rest of the year.
I'll just be sitting there on Christmas Day just fucking fuming. Just ruining everyone else's good time because I can't enjoy Ultraman. But it's awesome because up until now you've had to indulge in some shady online activities in order to get a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I never partake in any of that.
No, me neither. I couldn't tell you how entire series of Ultraman have appeared on my hard drive. But, so it's really wicked news, and it's a really good time to kind of, if you've not seen Ultraman, it's a good time to kind of maybe dip your toe in the water because it's all going to become available over the next few months. I'm not saying it's all great, but if you like that kind of silly, giant, rubber-suited monster kind of thing,
it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I think
You've
so.
got an experience.
Yeah. I think the original Ultraman series is absolutely worth a watch. I think some of the Ultra Q episodes are really good. Ultraman 80 is a great series because it's got that like late 70s, early 80s kind of weird disco fashion vibe, and a lot of the lighting's odd and stuff. And then, like I say, the new series Ultraman Tiger that's on at the moment, that's absolutely worth checking out as well. But yeah, that's kind of a potted history of Ultraman. I'm sure there are other people out there that could have done a better job than I, but
don't sell yourself short.
We did it in our way.
We did it in our way, where we talked about dildos and we looked up pictures of men practically fisting themselves. You don't get that on other nerd podcasts, do you?
Speak for yourself. I was looking at other things on my phone.
Matt, that's why he didn't say much, because he was just watching weird porn.
Ended up in this portal of Japanese sex toys.
Yeah.
So
ended up.
But next time it's going to be Dan bringing his chosen topic to the fray.
Quite possibly, yeah. I've been.
Is it going to be football?
Yeah.
Beards?
No, it's not.
Wanking?
No, it's. I've decided that I'm going to do something relatively painful for me. Is watch shit shows from about 15 years ago and tell you about how shit they are. So I've started watching Heroes.
Oh, fucking hell!
And it has not aged well.
No.
Not one bit.
No, I never saw the
reboot.
The reboot
Yeah,
series.
I may have to watch a bit of that as well.
I think you owe it to yourself in the name of research.
I genuinely don't think I'm going to get like season 2.
Just go on Wikipedia, you'll be fine.
That's just
I'll just read the Wikipedia.
Just jump on the wiki. You'll be absolutely fine.
Way.
I mean, I read a real book for this. Matt read a real book for his.
Yeah,
but I think you're good with. I think you're good with just jumping on Quora.
And we won't edit the Wikipedia, Drew.
I'm the wild
Wink.
card, bitches.
Turns out the actor who played Hero was arrested for public displays of shoving Ultraman dildos in his arse.
In fairness, he is Nancy as fuck in that show. He's a proper creep. At the first few times he comes onto the show, he is so fucking creeper.
I don't remember.
He ends up in the women's toilets.
So we've all been there.
Which one are we talking about? The one with the...
Hero. Yata, that dude.
Oh, Yata!
Yeah. No, honestly, he comes across as him and his mate. What was his mate's name? I can't remember now.
Dude, this is a show that was on in
really
2007.
Yeah.
And that is when I watched it, and I got most of the way through season 2, and I went, I'm kind of...
Yeah, I gave up.
But yeah, that's going to be it for this week, guys. We've got Facebook pages and things set up now, so you can rant at us about what we got wrong.
Yeah, thank you for everyone that's shared any links. Or
absolutely.
Like
Are we on iTunes yet? Or
I assume so. I put the submission through.
Yeah.
So.
If we're not yet, we will be soon. So please subscribe,
Steve Jobs is looking
review, all of that stuff. It really helps with like visibility and stuff. The more people kind of subscribe and review on those platforms, the more people can kind of
smash that like button,
ring that bell.
We're on YouTube.
it feels weird shilling yourself like that, but it's,
I know.
If we're going to get to a point where we can.
If you don't, we'll end up homeless.
Fighting over bread outside of the
Yeah.
We're fighting over an Ultraman toy.
We've come full circle.
We also really want to thank James for the amazing job he's done with our intro music.
You can find him on SoundCloud at TACH, which is TACH.
Yeah, we'll link it in the description.
Link it in the description as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for another episode of Gachapod, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
I'm going to delete my internet search history.
I'm not.